franchised. Some other moves around the edges. Brew, what's your Chiefs grade?
I did not really count Kelce. I think I was leaning toward thinking he'd retire, but, he's back, and that's great. Nick, I like getting Hollywood Brown, back.
At a good deal.
Right? Yeah, and you're going to presumably Xavier Worthy, Rashee Rice, all these guys. I think that bolsters the core. I like getting Nick Bolton back, too.
Yeah.
I thought that was a really big hire. And I know you love Jalen Moore, and he might be it's similar to the Milton Williams. Like, he's another guy, career backup, has played well when he replaced Trent Williams, but he started 12 games in 4 years. So I just don't know. And I feel like, Nick, it's kind of a this is a huge problem for the Chiefs.
What if you
and it's kind of putting it might be putting a Band-Aid. Maybe he is great. But we just haven't seen it, and he hasn't been a starter. So you know what I'm saying? I think it's another Band-Aid on that left tackle position.
It might be. And listen, as a guy who once was the only thing people knew me as is the guy who backed up the greatest ever. Maybe I have a soft spot for a guy who was backing up the greatest ever. Like, hey, that guy could really be something. He's been blocked by a goat. And so I'm not going to act like, that I was watching Jalen Moore when he was filling in for Trent Williams. Like, man, this guy's going to be a star. What I am going to say is, of all the guys who you could not beat out for a starting job in the league, you can't hold that against him. And the smart folks at PFF say when he's played, he has played well. And it is inexpensive enough that if they're wrong, it doesn't cripple them moving forward at that spot. So I think that's valuable. I also think keeping Trey Smith was super important. Right. Now, they lost Tooney, but they weren't ever going to be able to keep both of them. I thought today adding Christian Fulton, which will allow Trent McDuffie to play more on the inside where he's at his best. Jalen Watson, that's helpful. And I'm going to add one other thing that this could change. 2 key defensive starters who are free agents have not been signed yet by other teams, Justin Reed and Charles Omenihu. I would think one of them might be able to come, like it was like, hey, go see. We can't pay you what you think the market's going to be. The fact that neither one of those guys have gotten a deal makes me think maybe that one of those guys could come back. And I thought Bolton was gone. Getting Nick Bolton back is good. So I had them with a B. But maybe
I would just say only thing on Moore too. They outside of Trent Williams, their offensive line wasn't overwhelmingly good. So you could have put more maybe at another position.
He's a pure true left tackle.
I gave him a B-. I think the more acquiring Jalen Moore, I think it's huge simply because you got a guy who, in my opinion, number one Western Michigan University grad. Exactly. Just know that. But he's sitting behind arguably one of the best left tackles to ever do it. And if you can't learn something in that offensive scheme behind that particular player and then now be brought in to protect Patrick Mahomes, then something's wrong. But I think he's going to be just fine. But I thought Hollywood Brown, getting him back, crucial. We saw the jump that they made offensively with just him. And even who they get at running back?
Elijah Mitchell.
Elijah Mitchell, just him. I know he missed,
you
missed last
replaced
year, but you get another running back there. Bolton was huge.
I just also think that by signing Fulton, by bringing in Hollywood, and by retaining the guys they did and signing Jalen Moore, whenever they come for pick 31, they're not going to be in that spot be like, man,
exactly.
We have this tackle rated as the 68th best player in the draft, but we have to take him. You know what I mean? They don't, to me, have one just glaring, oh my God, hole going into the draft now, so they can be flexible enough to just take, if they think.
Hendrickson was given the okay to find a trade partner, while Jamar is still looking for a new deal that supposedly is going to make him the highest paid non-QB. Some stuff done, some stuff kind of waiting in the wings here, Brew. What is your grade for Cincinnati?
Well, this to me is just more, it's similar to Dallas in that it's about philosophy. I don't like their outlook and their approach to this offseason. Like, they are just building up the offense. They give Gesicki a really nice deal. Yeah. I think last year he made under $3 million. Now they're just paying him about $8 million a year. Like, he's a good player, but I think they overpaid him. And I just think prioritizing T. Higgins, as good as he is, over Trey Hendrickson is wrong. They've signed some of their defensive players from last year's horrible defense, but they want to let Trey Hendrickson go shopping. So I got to give him a D. I mean, it's just the approach I don't agree with.
Yeah, this is honestly an F.
And Jamar, I didn't even mention.
Yeah.
This is similar to Micah.
Yeah, this is
it just keeps going
F.
up the price.
To have the leading pass rusher and pass sacker and Trey Hendrickson out there, just go seek a trade.
Right.
Mm-hmm. It's looking like he's going to be the one that they choose to not even pay and let him play his deal out and see what he does this upcoming year. But you tag T. I totally get that because you want to keep some continuity. You're going to probably sign Jamar Chase, but that number.
And it's going to be a huge
number. With you publicly going out and saying, you know what, he's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback. Well, now,
right.
Now his team, and he's going to try to hold you to that. That number has gone up tremendously. They just have mishandled this from last year with T, all the things. I know you think that they should.
I don't think they. I'm not saying they should trade him. What I'm saying is, at some point, these things haven't gotten done because they're not getting done. And like Wilds is understandably kind of over the Jamar Chase story because it feels like we've been talking about it for almost a year. Because we have.
We have.
Because it was last August that the coach went to the podium confidently and was like, yeah, I'm pretty confident we're, in short order going to get something done with Jamar. And then the owner was like, oh, I don't think so. And it's still the same owner. Also, if we're incorporating into these grades, Brew, coaching hires we like, I would ding him for firing Lou Anarumo. I think he's a good defensive coordinator, and I think that he was not their problem last year. I think it was more personnel than scheme, and so I think this has been a really tough offseason for him. And until they get Jamar Chase signed, it's going to be a dark cloud looming for them.
Talking Thunder next. Drew's worried about them.
You think they signed?